Hey everyone! Developer Virtuous accidentally leaked references to the rumored Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remake on its website. On Bethesda's website, people found a hidden Buy Now button in the code. Reports suggest a surprise release next week, but nothing is official as of yet, and we're here to talk about it.
Yeah, we thought we would make a quick video on this because, of course, this is huge news in the gaming world. And for a lot of months already, these rumors about an impending Oblivion Remake Remaster were already there. But we had to take it with huge heaps of salt because nothing of that was really confirmed. It seemed really loose. But with the information that has now come out, what was leaked on the Virtuous website, it wasn't just references to it. It were actual screenshots and promotional images from the game as well, including the splash screen, the title screen, not the title screen, but the character standing in front of an Oblivion gate. And yeah, I think by now we can say it is real. It's coming. And a lot of the information seems to be corroborating as well that the release is sooner than we all might think, namely next week, the week of the 21st of April. So, Martin, what are your first thoughts about this? What are we thinking right now?
My first thoughts are that I don't have 100 hours to spend next week, so that's shameful. I think we're both Oblivion fans.
Yes.
My history with Oblivion is that it was I think it was my second Bethesda RPG. I played Morrowind a little bit, but not too much. And I played Oblivion in like 2007, probably put like 150 hours in it, which by Bethesda standards is fairly low, but for my standards is pretty high. So I consider myself an Oblivion fan. I'm very excited about it. It's the kind of game I always feared of revisiting, because I felt like that initial experience I had with it wasn't going to be matched in any kind of way, because the game has aged poorly in some ways, I would say. And that is without me revisiting it. This is just a gut feeling that I have. But this remake, bringing it into the modern gaming world with like updated quality of life features and maybe removing some of the quirks, some of the negative quirks, and hopefully retaining the good quirks, that is something that I can see myself getting into again. Yeah.
I think the potential here is absolutely huge. If I had to choose one single Elder Scrolls title that's my favorite, it would 100% be Oblivion.
Easily.
I have so many good memories of that game, and I played it for many hours back in the day, and I even revisited it a couple of times more recently. And I do kind of share your sentiment that I feel some of the aspects of it have aged poorly, like character design and maybe the graphics, maybe some of the underlying systems as well. And I see limitless potential here, if it's good, of course. But there are some things that I feel I'm a little bit concerned about in what I've seen so far, because of course we've seen images, and some of the images are even comparisons of the same locations in the remake/remaster. They're calling it remastered, but honestly, it looks more like a remake to me, because obviously it's not in the same engine. It's the meshes, the models have completely changed.
Well, this is clearly not a remaster.
No, but they're calling it remastered.
This is not a shader put on top of something existing.
No, not at all. Yeah. No, it's definitely remade. We don't know how much is remade because we've only seen visual cues so far. But one thing that I found really apparent is the color scheme. And that's the part that I'm a bit concerned about, because for me, Oblivion is the title in the Elder Scrolls franchise. That's it's the high fantasy cousin, right? It's definitely that type of kind of aesthetic. Lots of bright colors, lots of green, lots of blue.
Very vibrant, very saturated. It has just a very uplifting feel to it. It just begs you to be explored. Like me as a Middle European, I see those lush green forests and pastures and grass, and I just want to go there and live there, because that reminds me of my childhood completely. So, and you put it that 2009 Xbox 360 style brown filter over it to make it more gritty and realistic. That's not what I expect out of a game like this.
No.
I want that complete, over the top, slightly overhyped high fantasy injection.
Yeah. The whole suspension of disbelief is a lot easier with that type of aesthetic and color choices. And
yes,
the brownish filter that they've put over this, I mean, I think we are not the only ones that don't like this. I think the general consensus is that it's not that much liked. I think it brings it too close to something like Fallout. I've even seen people asking, like, okay, did the bombs fall on Cyrodiil or something like that? And it definitely looks a little bit. It's like
also
that.
like the screenshots look very sharp.
Yeah,
and I always liked about the original that it was a little bit bloomy and washed out. I feel like that's gone missing from the art style.
Mm-hmm.
It's harder to
there's
tell
probably
with
going to
those
be
screenshots.
TAA, right? So I guess we're going to get all the washed out graphics that we're used to with UE5. Yeah. But I found that really, really interesting. It what is concerning to me is not just this change, but whether it's indicative of the team actually understanding of what Oblivion is about.
It's the exact same thing that happened with the Gothic remake. That those individual points of contention point towards a greater problem.
Yeah.
So what is something that you think can absolutely not be touched and changed from the original?
The music. The music is one point, and of course it's also kind of a hot topic, I guess, because Jeremy Soule has gotten into an kind of like a controversy over the past few years. And I guess it's going to be clear that if the music is going to be remade as well, because right now we don't know if that has happened or not, then it's most likely that it would have been done by a different composer. I would be completely fine if they just used remastered versions of the original tracks, because honestly, that's my strongest connection right now with Oblivion. Is when I'm working, one of the things that I like to do is listen to soundtracks, and the Oblivion one is one that continuously plays in that list, I think.
And also, I mean, music, especially acoustic or orchestral music, is something that tends to age very, very well.
Yeah.
Because
it's timeless,
there is no
right?
state of the art. It's timeless, yeah. There's no state of the art attached to that. For me, I have to say, something I would want to change is definitely I would love to have all the loading screens removed. I would like to have Cyrodiil be completely boundlessly explorable.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be a huge plus. Imagine you could walk into... It's called Cyrodiil, right?
Yes.
You could walk into Cyrodiil, go into the city, go from district to district, and then enter the arena seamlessly. How cool would that be? I think there's a lot of potential there for like objective improvement.
And I think with today's technology, with all the deferred loading and all that kind of stuff, it is definitely also possible. It wasn't possible back then.
But the character will have to squeeze himself through a tiny gap.
Yeah, of course, yeah. All the caves are gonna have an entrance that's about like 30 centimeters wide, and we're gonna be shuffling into the entrance. Yeah.
And one thing I would definitely want to change is the combat system. I would like something that is more visceral, and that feels more real, instead of just swinging your sword and then having an enemy not react to it and then suddenly drop dead in front of you.
Yeah.
I think that the level of impact that melee combat has nowadays, even in first person, you look at games like, I don't know, even Avowed had that improved, right?
Yeah.
Dying Light had fantastic first-person melee combat. So you put something into the game more akin to that. I think that would work really, really well.
You want to get this sense that your strikes are physically connecting with the enemies rather than swiping through them, and then you get a feedback that you did some damage, but there is no idea of how much that did. I mean, Morrowind was even more notorious in that respect, where melee combat was super floaty, so to say. So in Oblivion it was already better.
Yeah, you could visually hit an enemy, but the dice roll suggested that you didn't, so you didn't do any damage.
And there was this weird like sound that you got when you hit, but you actually missed, right? Yeah. Yeah, I do share that sentiment as well. I think another point for me that I hope they will change from the original is the leveling system, because the leveling system in Oblivion was not good. It was atrocious in my opinion. It used an extreme form of level scaling, so enemies would generally visually not get any stronger, but they would level along with you as you leveled. And even worse was that unless you took the absolute optimum choice every single time you leveled up, then enemies would out-level you. So you would actually get progressively weaker. So one thing that's known of Oblivion is that it's easier to beat at level 10 than it is at level 40, which is completely counterintuitive. So yeah, that's...
and then you have a rat that could stomp like an entire city in the early, if it were to be put into the early levels.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That shouldn't.
Yeah,
be.
And also there was this really disconnected moment that when you would run into a bunch of bandits and they would have like the highest class armor on them. Yeah, that's really bizarre. I doubt they might make some changes to that. I think you have to retain it in some way, because otherwise you would probably have to change the map design and the layout completely to accommodate for that. That would completely destroy the balance of the game. I think you would have to make substantial changes to the game that go beyond just the scaling system, like turning that on and off to account for that. You would have to do it like kind of like an Elden Ring, where you would have to signpost the player and funnel them through certain areas in a certain order, which is what the game is not designed to do.
No, the map doesn't work like that.
You probably have to minimize the scaling, but not remove it altogether.
Yeah, the map is designed to be explored freely in any order, mostly at least. And yeah, that's not just something that you can do by just touching the leveling system. You need to touch a lot of other things as well. Which brings me to another point, is that once you really start like invading into a lot of things that make Oblivion, when does it stop being a remake of Oblivion, right? And just becomes a different game with the same name. That's kind of concerning as well, because I think a lot of us liked Oblivion for its quirks, right? Weird guards saying the repeated lines all the time, people having these strange conversations.
Stop right there.
Yeah, or the most hilarious thing I seen recently was actually the count and countess of one of the the towns talking to each other as they are sitting in the thrones. They turn to each other, they have a conversation as if they've never seen each other before.
Yeah, and that kind of only works in the old art style.
Yeah,
like if the game is visually modern and these things happen, that feels really eerie and strange, but together with that slightly archaic art style, it really
they have to retain some of that.
It fit into the mold really well. It's the same thing with the Gothic remake. I said this in our first episode ever, that I do feel like the edges and quirks of the game stand out to me more because the graphics are more polished.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. Which really doesn't mean that I'm not super excited about this. I mean, other than the right now, it's completely, we're guessing, right? We're grasping at air right now because we don't know what the game is going to be like. We don't know how long they've been working on it. We really only have a few vague images that really aren't that high resolution. We've seen the color scheme that we don't like, but other than that, we're just making wild assumptions.
That we can mod out. We can mod that one out. But you know, at the very worst, we're not going to enjoy it, and we'll still have the memories from the original. So I applaud Microsoft / Bethesda for making the step. I think this is a step in the right direction, because we're not going to have another Elder Scrolls game for probably another 3 to 5 years.
Yeah. Knowing the amount of information that we have so far about the Elder Scrolls 6, other than a splash screen, right?
Yep.
That's going to be far away. And
also, generally, I don't like the direction the series has been going, or Bethesda as a whole has been going, I should rather say. So Yeah, I have pretty high hopes for this, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm okay if it doesn't hit the mark. I just love the idea of trying this. I support it. I'll try it out.
Yeah, and also think about how many new people that have never played Oblivion back in the day are going to be able to enjoy it now, right? Because I think the game, as we said in the beginning, is now in such a place that people that have no, let's say, nostalgic connection with it would maybe not even consider trying the original, right? So maybe this will bring them in. And if it ends up becoming popular, maybe it will actually skew Bethesda a little bit more in the right direction again, right? If we have to compare it with something like Starfield, a game that takes itself, in my opinion, way too seriously and is the complete opposite, if you think about it that way, of what Oblivion was trying to achieve, intentionally or unintentionally, right?
Yeah. Oblivion was just a huge as sandbox to have some good old fun in.
Yeah, which is the best, right? It was just great fun.
Absolutely. Dark Brotherhood was great. The whole vampire shtick, it was frustrating, but it was fun.
Yeah. Best. I love the Arena Guild quest line also. I think it's a lot better also than in Skyrim. Both the Dark Brotherhood and the Thieves Guild are
I thought the cities were realized way better than in Skyrim as well. With Skyrim, I really missed like the scale of cities, and Oblivion had a bunch of really distinct looking and feeling cities that were different parts of the land. It was believable that people in the south would live a different life than people in the north, for instance.
Yeah. Skyrim cities, in my opinion, were all kind of too small. They felt like weird villages. There were some distinct ones, like Markarth, for instance, that was kind of like this almost dwarven-ish city built into a rock face. But nothing really breathed the Imperial City for me. Nothing in Skyrim.
No. That was the best one. And they could even extend that, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And one thing they should definitely improve is like if there's ever a battle that is supposed to be on a large scale with tons of NPCs, they need to definitely
have more than NPC 3 guys
count.
fighting.
Like 3 guys having a go at each other does not convey a battle situation for me, to be honest. And
it's so funny. I know exactly the moment that you're referring to. That when you have this huge Oblivion gate and there's like there's a huge climax and there's like 3 enemies coming out and then 4 soldiers fighting that. It's just
those were the restrictions they had to deal with. It's totally understandable. But now these restrictions should be lifted and there's potential for improvement.
Yeah, I really hope that's something they would consider having changed to not break the illusion of, oh my God, we're going into a huge battle. Here's 4 guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is good. I applaud everybody involved for having a go at this. I'm cheering you on. I'm remaining hopeful.
Yeah.
Although reserved.
Cautiously optimistic.
To not have my heart broken. Yeah. But we're cautiously optimistic. That's what we are. And we'll check it out when it is time, which is next week. Can't believe that.
Yeah.
That's such a smart marketing move, though. Shadow drop it, get it out there, and market a product you can actually sell in the moment. I think that's the way to go anyway.
Yeah. No hype, just bam, let's go.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Let us know what you guys think of this quicker, more short-term format covering more topical things as opposed to like larger form discussions on more timeless topics. It's something we're trying out. We're still finding the voice of this channel. We're figuring it out as we go.
Yeah, please let us know.
All right, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.